You never know when things are going to go awry out on the water, kind of like this scene here where a man and his dog were out enjoying a sail on Samish Bay when all of a sudden their vessel became grounded. Quick call to the Coast Guard and the two are being rescued and hoisted up into the helicopter with no injuries. Good result, just like some of the things we'll see in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to the Tampa Bay area where just a little over a week ago the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office received a distress call of what appeared to be a boat adrift near the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. The Sheriff's Office Marine Unit responded to the scene.
What's going on, guys? You guys all right? Nobody's hurt? Okay.
After arriving on the scene, the sheriff begins to talk with the couple and finds out that they've actually been adrift for several hours after the vessel broke down. Upon a little further investigation, the couple opens up to the ordeal they just went through.
So right here with our spotlight looking.
That's why I'm flashing out.
Yeah, and we're a little bit familiar with that here, and just your light is not a light that's that spot. So we're like, hey, let's go look at that light over there because that's not normal for where it should be, and it just so happened to be you guys.
One thing after
It
another.
really was a nightmare today out there.
We've been broke down for a couple hours.
Really?
Then we threw an anchor out. Next thing you know, we're sitting there trying to stay warm.
Yeah.
And the anchor just picked up and drug. Next thing you know, we was under the bridge and kept hearing cars. And then we was like, wow, what's going on? And then I was like, oh man, we're in trouble. And we was about to get seasick. It was so rough. Just sitting there in one spot. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, it's rough right now.
Yes, sir. I didn't think it'd be this rough. You know, it was supposed to be a calm night. It wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad you guys are okay.
So am I.
I'm glad we found you.
Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to the boat ramp, and many of you probably saw this scene. And this is where a Tesla was backing a jet ski down a boat ramp and wound up sliding into the water, and the next thing we know, it erupts into flames as seen here. Even under the water, the vehicle still burns. This really has been front and center in the news a lot lately, especially considering so many car carriers have caught in fire in the last 12 months, most of them while carrying some sort of electric vehicle. It's starting to become a proven fact that saltwater and EVs do not play well together whatsoever. So much so that the state of Florida's fire marshal even issued a warning a few weeks back when Hurricane Idalia was tracking toward the coast, warning electric vehicle owners to move their vehicles out of the way of areas where floodwaters could form from the storm. He was quoted as saying they saw a number of fires associated from EVs with Hurricane Ian. They know that the salt water from the storm surge can compromise the batteries of the electric vehicles, causing fires which cannot easily be suppressed, as seen in the images here. He also said the best fire teams can do is keep water on the batteries until the fuel burns out. But he also warned people if you were evacuating during Hurricane Idalia and leaving your EV behind anywhere near your house, you are creating a fire threat for yourself and your neighbors. Which makes me wonder where electric vehicles really stand in the world of boating. Every year we're seeing more electric vehicles come online that have the capability of towing boats, and I can tell you from our Miami Boat Ramps channel, we are seeing more and more EVs at the boat ramps, but it makes me wonder just how dangerous they are. Before anybody goes nuts in the comments thinking I'm actually bashing EVs, my crew actually has one and they absolutely love it. I do, however, still tow at the boat ramp with a gas truck. I'm just curious how these things are going to fare long term towing boats around saltwater. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Brazil, where this was the scene just a few weeks back, when the Brazilian Navy said it seized 3.6 metric tons of narcotics off a boat off the coast. The Navy claims it is the largest single bust offshore of this kind by the Brazilian government. The crew wound up catching the vessel seen in the images here. This vessel is typically used to carry cargo and passengers along the coast of Brazil. What raised red flags was when this vessel announced that it was heading to Africa when typically it stays in a near coastal route, prompting the authorities to board the vessel and inspect it. Brazilian authorities claim they found 17 bales of the narcotic on the boat. They wound up arresting all 5 crew members of the vessel, but it just sounds like some mistakes were made. Now don't get me wrong, transporting narcotics is a mistake in itself and you don't want to do that, but trying to do so on a vessel that's known for having a coastal route, doesn't even have an IMO number, and then announcing you're taking it to Africa seems like an even worse move. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Burley Pro and Adam Coolidge did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.